good afternoon. This is Neil. It's Wednesday, December the 7th, middle of this light week in way of earnings and news, but there's been a little bit of range, at least in the trade. So let's look at where we are, how we got to where we are, and see if we can make a plan for this going forward. This is a daily chart, first of all. We can switch into volume in a minute, but this is a daily chart. The lows down here in the ES at about 3,500, working its way up into the 41 test up here, which was that 200 period moving average on the daily coming down. But look at, see, we traded in a range down here at the bottom for a while. Sort of broke out of that little range right there. I could draw a box around it, maybe make a better argument or picture, but on this day, 1024, sort of took out the top of that and went into this range that lasted until the CPI Thursday of November 10. So here's what I did. I took and profiled, let's see if I've got it. Maybe have to go get it in a sec. I profiled the 1024 by 11.9 block of trade right there and got a profile of it, and it has a point of control at about 38.42. The value area high of that's 3,900. Value area lows down here, I forget, it's like probably 37.5 or something, but 38.42, that's the number to know. Okay, so on CPI November 10, we get this big bid, 37.5 bids up, a couple hundred. Since then has gone sideways 11.11 to present. So we profile all of that, 11.11 to present, we get 39.60, call it 5. 39.65 at the top, okay? So I was wrong, I guess, because I was looking Monday for this thing to not really get much below that. If below that, then only to test the Powell news day here. Powell news right there, when that presser that he gave at 12:30 Central on that day, and the news kind of price that it was trading then, you can see the alert I've got over here, 39.56, right? CPI day was 37.55. You see that's why I got these markers in here. So CPI 7:30 in the morning on November the 10th was trading 37.55. Then Powell presser at noon 30 that day, 39.56 right there. So, and balance, remember I just told you balance in here is about 65. So realistically, I thought that we'd pull back and test one or two prices right there. Certainly if it slipped below 65, yeah, okay, it may trade, 55, trade that Powell presser price right there. But, but that's kind of about it, right? Well, there's a problem with that because we've certainly traded below that. Realistically, almost all the way down to this old quarterly settlement print at 39.12 is a big price down there. 39.12. You gotta remember that price from. You can drop a line on that level and just look left, and boy, you'll see a lot of trade go off at that price. But so here's what I'm thinking for right now. Keep in mind, first part of this week, I've already been wrong. It's already lower than what I had in mind. And see, what I had in mind too was this, watch, weekly, that it would not do this, and it has, and that is trade below last week's low. That ends the one-time framing higher on the weekly with a series of higher lows all the way up on the weekly. See, that ends the one-time framing by trading below last week's low of 41. Now, a trip back into 66 and 55 or whatever, that leaves the last week's low okay. It leaves it unchecked, and that's one-time framing higher lows on the weekly on the way up. That's fine. But this has come back deeper than that, deeper than last week's low. So not that this puts it in one time framing down, it doesn't, but it certainly takes this weekly chart, puts it into now neutral by ending one time framing up, which is a series of higher lows on the way up, right? So back to the daily here real quick. And that was part of my reasoning for only wanting to see it back to 65 and 55 was to leave last week's low untested, or i.e. leave the one-time framing higher on the weekly. So here's where we're at. We're on a Wednesday. We just made a low for the week on a Wednesday. Midweek shuffle low, right? Or high. Remember, either a high or a low for the week on a Wednesday. You don't want to chase that. I do not want to chase that. I do, however, have to prepare us for what if I'm wrong again and this thing continues down further, then what? Well, the target's going to be 38.42. That's the balance that puts it in this block of trade from October the 24th to November the 9th on that sideways batch right there. Your target will be 38.42 if I'm wrong and it continues down even further. That's not really what I'm looking for because I'm looking for this thing to be a low for the week on a Wednesday that holds and starts to trade this thing back up. And work its way back up towards like 40.20. Now, the stuff that it has to get through and that you have to pay really close attention to in like tomorrow's trade, if in the event it is on its way back up, is 39.65, then 39.90, about I think it's like 2.93, 92.3. That's a big one. That's really probably, honestly, the level to overcome. That's the real sticky spot to overcome. So 39.90, like 2 something. That's a big deal. And then you get above that, then you're pressing up into the 40.20s, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, but keep in mind, I could easily be wrong. This thing just bids small, gets stuffed, and then continues its way down. If it does, lower than 12, 12's, you've seen 12 hold prior. I mean, it was like this November 17th swing low right there. You've seen that hold before. If below there, well, then you're looking 38.42. And but what I prefer is anytime that I do these on a Wednesday and we've seen an extreme for the week, I say the same thing every time I say, this is a really tough call because, I mean, it's crazy bid all the way into a high for the week on a Wednesday, and you want me to be bearish, but yet that's the read, right? Or crazy break all the way down to a low for the week on a Wednesday, and it's the same thing. You want me to be bullish? But that's the tough read. That's the tough call. But that's the Wednesday. Don't look. The thing is, don't chase a low for the week made on a Wednesday. Don't chase a high for the week made on a Wednesday. Not that it can't continue, but it is really a low probability venture to try to chase an extreme for the week on a Wednesday. So targets above, targets below, what the fight is in getting in either direction. The fight on the bottom is 12 to get through, and then it's 38.42. The fight on the top is clear 60s to get into that 90 something, 90 like 2 right there. Clear that and it's good. That 90 is actually it's going to be tough. That 39.90 like 2, that's going to be tough. But it can also clear that and then use that as support once it's once it's good. Then that'll be good support. That's it. That's what I got. Let me check the price. It is about, yes, it's about 92, 39.92. I'm looking at it on another screen from late day Monday, and that is That is quite the level to try to reclaim. That's the best I've got for you tonight on this Wednesday. I will remind us that there is news in numbers more than enough to make a difference starting this Friday and all through next week with PPI and CPI and a Fed announcement. And we're going to have, in like 1 week's time, you're going to have a CPI, PPI, and a Fed announcement. So, you know, this is an opportunity right in here, I guess, for folks to kind of take a little risk off and prep for, because there's nothing going on this week. I mean, like this afternoon we have GameStop earnings. It's like big deal. You know, who cares? Unless you got to trade in GameStop, you probably don't care. But next week everybody's going to be paying attention. You know, with the amount of information, meaningful information that there is to be had in that short span. Oh, and by the way, there's another too, the expiration. You know, we got triple, which expiration end of next week as well. Add that to the list. And then with that, you can add to the list that we get potentially the midweek right here is the pit bull low for then the mark up into the expiration. That's another thing. So there's just so much going on, honestly, in this next short period that all I've got really is, more than anything, it's levels. Like if lower, I can tell you what they're going to trade. It's going to come back to balance down here. It's 38, like 42 trade. And if support, well, it's going to be those 12s. And if bid, then it's a matter of getting back through the balance up here at 65 into the 90s to try to work through that Monday, you know, that significant kind of Monday correction. And then it's smooth sailing above the 90s up there. It's kind of, you know, smooth sailing, but you know, I don't know. I don't see around corners, so I don't know that we get through there. I know it's going to be a meaningful level to retake, though. So look, take it easy in this environment right now. I say pretty well. Just about nothing that I was trying to do today worked. It's just one of those days. I mean, it's like every time it looked good, it was bad. It looked bad, it was good. It was a reversion to the mean type of trade that tried a little higher, a little lower, and spent all the day in the middle. And you know, those are tough days, and that was today essentially. So tomorrow's a new day, and take it easy so that you are here for the next, you know, tomorrow, and mind your risk. That's how we show up again tomorrow. Okay. Take care.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me